Good morning, my name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel, We Are Quilters. It is Upskill Monday, and today we are going to add some embellishment to this lovely block. We've already embellished the center of it with lazy daisies and feather stitch and beads and a snap. Today I'm going to embellish these two rows of fabric with a long herringbone stitch, and then, you know, we can't just stop there. We have to add more and more to it. So I am going to pull the colors for it is a 2-color herringbone stitch. And you're saying, what? Wait and see. I'm going to pull the colors from this block. So I'm going to pull a dark purple for half of the herringbone and a medium purple for the other half of the herringbone. And over that, I'm going to add a straight stitch. These are basically the same color to my eye, so I'm going to use up, one might be a little shade darker, but it won't matter. I'm going to use up this floss, or try to. And then I'm going to do a flower stitch with straight stitches in the center of the long herringbone with this yellow, because it will pull your eye out here. I need to do some marking, and I'm going to keep them around 1/2 inch. So this one, well, I'll mark it. I wouldn't really need to because it's so close to the edge. And I see when I did the crazy, well, I think I'm good. Well, I'll just mark it. I'm using a Frixion pen, and I'm marking about 1/2 inch because my quilter's wand is about 1/2 inch. I'm going to mark both sides. This side, when I did the piecing, I see that it is a little bit wider. So it is more important for me to mark this side than the other, I think. But as you know, if your stitches are not exactly perfect, it adds to the interest. The imperfection of the stitch makes it more perfect, if that makes sense. That button is quite raised up. Did not realize till I was trying to lay my magic wand on it. And that should take care of the marking of the block. Let me move some things out of the way and thread a needle. I am using 3 strands of floss. If you want your stitching to be fuller, you can use more than 3 strands. It depends on how you want it to look. Move those extra bobbins of floss out of the way. Doing all these extra stitches has certainly used up a little bit. It's like using scraps of fabric. They seem to grow and grow and grow. To start this stitch, I'm going to start a little bit below my target line. To put my needle in. Then I'm going to go slightly above my target line, do my tack stitch, come down to the next one. Now the key here is to make sure you don't have any loose strands and not to pull things so tight that they crinkle or wrinkle your fabric. I'm coming down to the next line and going on a little bit on each side. I want this to be a long herringbone stitch. I could see where 6 strands of floss would be great for this stitch to make it look fuller. Excuse me. And you can see how quickly it progresses down the row because it is so nice and long. It doesn't take very much time at all to do the herringbone stitch. I think it'll take more time to fill in with the other fancy blingy stitches and beads than it will to do both rows of the herringbone stitch. Let me rethread my needle and put it on speech stitch to finish the other half of that elongated herringbone. For the crisscrossing herringbone, I'm using a medium shade of purple. Again, 3 strands. If I can get them apart and get them to cooperate. There we go. This makes an interesting pattern, just like the double herringbone did for the last 2 weeks, but it gives you space in the middle to decorate and add extra stitches to make it look even fancier and blingier. I'm going to, I need to start here and crisscross my way up. So again, I'm starting toward the line, going out, making a tack stitch. So I end up with a little X, and then I go up to the next one, make my tack stitch. Now if you want, you can go underneath to add extra visual interest. Up to you. We will be adding some other stitches in there to help keep things straight. With that light lavender. And because we made those registration lines, it makes this quick and easy to add this extra. I wasn't sure I was going to like the 2 colors, but I do. And because they're not too far apart and too contrasting, just adds that little bit of interest that catches your eye. I can hear Honey Bunny Helper on the sofa. I thought she was going to come over and supervise, but she didn't. So let me tie this off. It still is that ugly duckling because it has the registration lines. And you know, until the stitching is done, it's not really the beautiful swan. But those lines really do help and make these stitches so much easier. Let me get this part stitched up. To stabilize this stitch, I'm going to add little tack stitches across the X's and across the middles so that, like I said, it will stabilize the stitch and it won't be as loose or open as it is at the moment. I'm going to use a light lavender to do that. I am still using 3 strands. This would be a great stitch because it's so open. To use more strands if you wanted to experiment with a thicker, puffier look. And I'm going to put my needle down and come up near the next one. Because I think it'll make this stitch go even quicker, sort of like a long running stitch. Well, this makes this so easy. Let me put this on speed stitch while I do the rest of this row across the center and across the other edge of the row. This reminds me of smocking. Like I said, still has those marks on it, but it reminds me of smocking like you would see on a little girl's dress, even though it doesn't gather it up. This time, I'm going to use 2 strands because I'm going to do 4 stitches that cross one another, and I don't want them to be super full. I want to put a bead in the middle, and that will add bulk. So I'm going to do 2 stitches to make a daisy in the middle with just straight stitches. Now sometimes you have to trim the thread before they will go through the needle when you have more than one layer. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. In this center space, and there's a nice big center space, and I've let the lines here so that it is easy to see. I'm going to put a fairly large stitch up and down the line. Then I'm going to make it a plus. Then I'm going to, even that would be a good stitch, but I'm going to add 2 more stitches on the diagonal. And then I will come back and add 1 little seed bead. Maybe, if I like the way it looks. So not a very complicated stitch, straight and easy, but it does make quite an impact. And wait till we take off those registration lines. Maybe it needs a French knot instead of a bead. I don't know, we'll have to experiment. Let me put this on speed stitch and get it finished. All the stitches are on here. I'm going to iron away the friction pen, and I will be right back. We can decide if we're going to do beads or not. So I've grabbed my seed beads here. My original thought was maybe a red seed bead to match the red here, since there was no red out here. I don't know. Then my next thought was maybe something that's still warm colored, but like a peachy pink. Still not happy with that. Wow, how about a lighter? No, that was too light and became too pastel-ish. Then I had another thought. Tiniest little seed bead I had, it's gold, but next to that yellow looks kind of brownish, and there's no brown anywhere. There is some gold, but there's no real brown anywhere. And I thought maybe the seed beads that are here would also work here. So let me get out some thread, and I will try these, but if they're too big, it might come down to this little tiny one that matches this little bit of gold out here. Let's see which works. Trial and error sometimes works better than anything else. Cross your fingers, hope this works. If not, well, we know how to try again, don't we? I am using a strand of embroidery floss. I know that is not probably the best, but I know it already matches the color of these little flowers. 1 strand of embroidery floss. I am using a beading needle. I would love to hear from you about what kind of needle you use for this. Oh, that looks so cute. I am going to good. The yellow worked the first time. That is fantastic. So I won't have to do any picking off the beads. And it is turning out beautifully. Let me put a few more of these centers in here, and then I will show you what I have done. And then you can come back if you want to see the finished beautiful block. Please join me on Friday for Blabfest. And the first thing I have been doing on Blabfest is a block parade with finished blocks from this show and also other things I sew during the week. Two more beads to go. This goes pretty quickly because there's only a small amount of flowers on each side. So there we have it. Little flowers on each side. One has beads, the other does not. I will finish the other row up and share it with you on Friday. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Upskill Monday, and I will see you on Wednesday for more Study in Scarlet. See you later. Bye. Remember to like and subscribe.